What's going on, everybody? Once again, it's the Pufferman and Boys, man. We in the backyard studio. I'm your boy, Cigar Mick.
The Cigar Banker. What's good, people?
What's happening? What's happening, y'all? Listen, man, this is an early morning edition, man. It's been so hot in Vegas, bro, that we had decided, look, man, the only best time to do this, let's get out here about 7 a.m., man. Let's, have some sun salutations, man, and light up a cigar, have our conversation, and go on with the rest of our day. Plus, Banker be on the golf course like every week, y'all. So
not last week.
You gotta catch this brother when you can, man.
It was 1:10 at 9 a.m.
Woo, man, it's been crazy, son.
Yeah.
But let's, start it off like we always do, family.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about what we smoking today, and then we'll get into a little convo.
Yeah, definitely, man. So today I'm gonna smoke this nice little Drunk Chicken cigar. This is actually the Drunk Chicken original, and I'll look this up because I want to get this right. So this is actually a full body with a Mexican wrapper. I'm assuming San Andreas.
Mexican Andreas.
Yeah. So we got Ecuadorian binder with a Nicaraguan filler. And the reason I looked this up because this lady put a lot of work into this. We had a chance to meet Silver. We'll probably get into that here shortly.
Yeah.
But we had the opportunity to meet the proprietor of this company. Man, she put a lot of work into these cigars, did it the right way. So I wanted to pay homage to her this morning and smoke one of the Drunk Chickens.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the ones I like more in the lineup because it is a full body smoke.
Yeah.
And like I said, that San Andreas wrapper is hard to miss.
Exactly, man. That's probably one of my favorite blends, first of all.
Yeah.
And I in talking with her, man, it was funny when we interviewed, her, because right before the interview, I said, so it's Silver, right? She said, yeah, Silver, right? But Silver's her last name. Right. Desiree Silver. So when I'm on camera and I'm like, yeah, we with Silver, you see how she looked at me? She's like, that was kind of funny to me, man. But yeah, very nice stick, man. Like I said, I love the blend on that Mexican Andreas, Ecuadorian, the binder and the Nicaraguan filler, man. That's an awesome smoke, man. Yeah. So I'm smoking something a little bit different today, a lot different, I should say, today, right? So crazy story, man, is last Saturday, before we went to PC, I was watching the news, right? And I was catching up on some of the, the coverage on what took place in Haiti. Just want to make sure I stay lit. With the assassination of the president, right, that took place down there. It's a crazy story, man. The coup that took place, man. It's not unlike anything that can happen here right now. People keep thinking about this stuff but we came very close to some crazy stuff happening here back in January 6th. But we might touch on that, we might not. But anyway, while I was sitting there, I was like, man, the coverage of Haiti is always so negative. Right? It's always so negative, and they always lead with the fact that Haiti used to be a slave colony. They fought for their independence, and basically they're telling you they've been screwed ever since they got free. Right? That's basically what they're telling you. They were better off as slaves. That's how the coverage comes across to me. So I was thinking about resources. I'm like, man, Haiti should be a place that has a lot of natural resources, and tobacco should be one of them. Right? So. And the reason why I felt like that is because, as you know, Haiti is the other side of the Dominican Republic. The island was originally called Hispaniola, right? And it was inhabited by the original Taino people. Now, the Tainos were, I'm giving y'all a history lesson. This is crazy. I just need to tell you what I'm smoking. But the Tainos were nomadic people, right? So they were in the Americas. They were in Cuba. They were original inhabitants of Cuba, Dominican Republic, or I should say Hispaniola, and what have you. So again, the same practices with tobacco would have been taking place there as they took place in Cuba and DR and all of that type of stuff, right? So long story short, we ran into these guys, and they have a new brand cigar coming out of Haiti, right? And it was just like chance. I was like, man, I was just thinking about this today, and you guys are handing me a cigar from Haiti, right? Now they just do the binders right now, and the wrappers and the binders down there. The name of the cigar is called Behekio. Right, so again, I said the Taino people. Behekio was the original chief in Hispaniola, right? He was one of the chiefs down in Hispaniola. So they named the cigar after him. But again, man, I'm just now starting to get into it. I got to be honest with you guys. Right now, I'm not very impressed. Right, it's a lot lighter than I thought it was going to be. It came across. It was supposed to be mild to medium. I'm sorry, medium to full. I'm not picking that up right now, and I'm not picking up a lot of nuances on it right now. But just the fact that there's a company, man, of 4 friends who got together down in Haiti to try to do something like this. I'm very impressed with that fact, man. Now, again, I'm gonna check on the complexity as we move forward and everything. But so far, I mean, it's burning pretty nice, man. Construction is kind of decent. It's a little veiny, but again, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna see as we go on to it, right? Because I got to be honest with the audience too. But if you're curious and you want to try a cigar from Haiti, go find this Behekio by Supreme Tobacco. Right, there you go.
It's a good backstory, man. Like you said, there's no reason why Haiti shouldn't have a natural resource such as tobacco in abundance. It would be nice if maybe they can set the trend and some people follow behind them, similarly to what's happened here in the U.S.
Exactly.
Us having U.S. cigar makers now and growing tobacco in the U.S. that's quality for cigars.
Right.
So same thing, man. That's a good backstory.
It is, man. So in 1492, when Columbus, so-called discovered Cuba, right, the Taínos were already there.
Right.
And they were, what they noticed is that these guys were smoking this tobacco leaf and whatnot, but they were smoking it through their nose, by the way. You know what I'm saying? So what happened was tobacco became a big export for Spain, right? And the first cigar was actually rolled in Seville, Spain. From there, and then later on, they gave Cuba the right to start producing cigars there and stuff, man. But yeah, that's the back history side of it, man. But yeah, it's pretty good stuff, man.
I mean, it's not a bad conversation to get into, man, because we got a serious history lesson at PCA this year. I think we met with several people that gave us like some good information that was like, this is some quality stuff that I think our viewers and most cigar aficionados, if they want to call themselves that, would really enjoy hearing and getting the backstory on something like you talking about with the Taíno people and how that kind of rolled into the U.S. market, and they were growing tobacco in the U.S. as well as in Cuba and some other countries, the Dominican and all that. But I mean, man, we got so much quality information. It was hard to pinpoint. I ain't gonna say that because I could pinpoint what was my best interview, what I enjoyed the most, and our best conversation. But definitely we got a lot of quality information on that.
I agree, bro. Like, we stepping the game up here at the Puff a minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, when we say we're not just blowing smoke, guys, that's not just a catchphrase. You know what I'm saying? Our endeavor is to impart knowledge, man, to the audience, man. Whether we're talking about, giving you knowledge about cigars and stuff, or we're talking about giving you knowledge about what's going on in the world, or our perspective, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? It's informational, man. This is infotainment. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what it's all about, bro. But I had a great time. We had some outstanding interviews, man. It was good to see some of our old friends.
Oh man,
that we hadn't seen in a while, especially on 2020 coming off of that. It was great to meet with some new friends out there this past week. I just wish we could have spent more time there, because truth be told, we only spent about 4 hours, 5 hours, man, at the PCA on one day, and then after that, because of schedules and competing schedules, we never had the opportunity to get back down there and stuff, man. But no, it was awesome. I'm texting people. They're like, "Where you at? Where you at? I'm looking for you." So on and so forth. I felt really bad, man. But, it is what it is, man. We'll catch y'all at the next one.
Yeah, shout out to the Lugione team, man. Howard, Dave, Brian, Dion, man. It was a pleasure getting to see all them dudes. And Dion, man, once again, one of our best interviews. Every time we get a chance to sit down and talk with him, and not even just doing an interview, just talking cigars and the cigar game. And like, he's one of those guys where it's like, man, if you could spend 2 hours with him, the wealth of knowledge you'll get is just amazing.
Dion, man. The biggest thing that stood out with me with Dion is when he said, "I don't phone in orders." You know what I'm saying? Now that right there, that's dedication, baby. He's like, he's not gonna pick up the phone, man, and call down to the Nicaragua or what have you, and say, "Hey, I need you guys to blend this for me, make it like this, make it like this." He said he's got to be there. He's got to have his hands on the tobacco. He needs to be making sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. That's dedication. To the craft, I should say.
He spends probably, what they say, close close to 6 months, a year in a normal year in Nicaragua. You know,
Exactly.
and you know, there's tobacco coming from other places, Dominican and whatnot as well. They're getting San Andreas stuff, but you know, the basis of it is the fact he has to put his hands on it, he has to smell it, he has to taste it. He goes through the whole process just like any other good cigar. I'll say any other because they a top notch above, man, for me anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Before we go any further, man, I want to get into a little bit. Now that I'm getting into the first third of this one, it's starting to pick up in the complexity a little bit, man. It's still, to me, this is a mild cigar, right? Maybe my palate is just a little bit stronger like that right now. It's kind of mild, but I am able to pick up some of the earthiness, man, a little bit of the pepper and stuff like that. Again, as I exhale it through my nose and stuff, that's really where you pick up the taste at and stuff, man. So yeah, you know, actually this is a good cigar. It's a nice cigar. I wasn't trying to demean it in any way. It's just that I was expecting a real fullness, boldness from the gate, man, which I didn't get. But nah, this is nice.
Yeah, we'll see how I do towards the end because I'm interested about that construction. Yeah, because like you said, sometimes veins is good, but when it's real thick veins, that could be problems with the rolling process. But we'll see how it does.
There we go. All right, bro. So let's talk a little bit, man. I don't know. Getting it started. So coming off that discussion about Haiti and the coup and all of that type of stuff, man, and you know, talking about a little bit of what's going on in the United States right now. You know, the whole voter suppression effort, man, has kicked into high speed, right? It's in overdrive, I should say, right now. And earlier this week, there was supposed to be a vote down in Texas, right? In the Texas, you know, House or what have you. And I guess they, you know, the Republicans had the numbers and all of this type of stuff, and they were going to vote in some, you know, some provisions that was going to make it very difficult for people to vote, right? It was really going to suppress a lot of people's ability to get out and vote and, you know, and do what they do. A lot of it is along gerrymandering, right, redistricting, you know, things of that nature. So the Democrats, in order to you know, they got very strategic, right? And what they ended up doing was they left the state, right? And by doing so, there wasn't enough people in Congress to justify a quorum, and the vote couldn't take place. To me, man, this is like some old school, like, you know, like revolutionary type stuff, right? Utilizing the process to get, you know, to try to maintain, you know, what you're going after. So respect to those guys, because I feel like the rest of on the federal level, they should take a lesson out of, you know, this state's books, and right, and do, because, you know, the president came out, you know, and made a speech this week as well, and to me that was just like rah-rah bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, again, you know, it's hyperbole, it's just talk, bro. It's just, there's no substance to it, right? Nothing is being done. This isn't who we are. Yeah, it's exactly who we are. We've proven this for over 400 years. This is exactly who we are. You know, so at the end of the day, man, some of these representatives started coming back home, and as they started coming home, they arrested them. You know, again, bro, you know, it's crazy, but, you know, it reminds me of the civil rights movement, right, where people were willing to do what it takes in order to, you know, to make change, right? Civil disobedience in order to push change, necessary change in our political systems, man. So, you know, I don't know if you got anything on that, man, but yeah, that's
well,
one of the
Texas wasn't the only state. I mean, even in what was it, not Atlanta, but in Georgia, the Attorney General had to bring charges against the state of Atlanta, or state of Georgia, excuse me, because they had voted in some laws that were voter suppression laws, and then now you see this push for the We the People Act, and then there's another voting act too, is named after the civil rights activist that just passed away. That's what was in Congress.
John Lewis.
Yeah, John Lewis, Voting Rights Act. So now we got all this voting rights reform going on, and they're saying this is bigger than the Voting Rights Act that went on during the during what was it, the 60s?
Yeah, so the 60s was about getting voters' rights, right? What's happening today is about the prevention of people taking voter rights away. And again, to your point, what happened in Michigan this week, what happened in Georgia this week, what's happening in Arizona, are there court cases that are coming up right now where the prosecutors that were bringing those cases about around the big lie, right, they're being sued for wasting, resources and time and all of that, man, for a superfluous case. So yeah, there's a lot of that that's going on right now, man, which is just crazy. We talk about things in this country, man. I really didn't want to get into this whole critical race theory thing and stuff like that, man. But at the end of the day, is we make a lot of decisions based upon, somebody's racial makeup and who do we feel should have rights and who do we feel should not have rights, based upon that. And it's always been based upon that. Even if you look at Nazi Germany, when they were out and trying to develop and research on how to create a system, all right, a national system of how do you disenfranchise a portion of the population that live here, that such a, how do you disenfranchise them so that they don't have rights, this, that, and what have you. They studied America, man, because again, based on the roots of the the slave economy that took place in the United, that's still taking place to an extent, that was the perfect model. So again, we don't like to own up to our history, quite honestly. Again, and I know that there's people out there that's probably watching right now like, this is the greatest country in the world, or so. Yeah, I agree, bro. I fought for this country, man. I got a right to say the shit that I want to say. You know what I'm saying? I fought for this country too. So at the end of the day, man, it doesn't make it all right. And again, when you have a segment of the population that is hell-bent on disenfranchising another segment of the population, then you can't come to me and say that we're all Americans, right? Because at the end of the day, you're saying that your Americanism is greater than my Americanism, so I mean,
that's a good way to put it, man. That's a good way to put it. I mean, I think about, like, there were several states that allowed for ex-felons to vote. Yeah. And then, there's many states that still don't allow it. But once you become a felon and you go to prison, now you are basically a ward of the state. And it's like you have no. It's like even after you get out of that
new Jim Crow, baby.
Yeah, but I mean, but the bad part is even after you get out, right? So we talked about this, the movie 13 before. Being incarcerated just like being in servitude. Being a slave once again.
Yes.
But even after you get out, the repercussions of it, even once you get released from prison, it's like, how are you ever supposed to be integrated into society? Yeah. You can't vote. You get all these other different things that go on. You can't find a job, you're disqualified for certain job categories. Even if you get a formal education, you can still have trouble getting a job as an ex-felon. So it's like all these things that happen to people where they're just disenfranchised because they're in this population and not that population. And like you said, I'm more American than you're American.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you make a good point, right? So because of the prison industrial complex, right? So within the 13th Amendment, right, when they said, okay, we're going to free all of the slaves and what have you, right there in there it says, unless you have been convicted of some crime, right? So slavery continued, right? Nobody could be a slave unless they have been convicted of a crime. So what they did was they criminalized being black. Right? So what happens when you have all of these people who were former slaves, right, and now they're off the plantation and they got nowhere to go? You create vagrancy laws, right? You create all of these other things, loitering and vagrancy and all of this type of stuff. So why? So that you could throw them back into prison or on some type of a chain gang or somewhere, and you still get free labor, right? The prison industrial complex today, or where you have private prisons, okay, that are making money off of the state on free prison labor to do a lot of things for a lot of freaking corporations and stuff, right? So again, that's what it is. So now if you were to take that and flip it, because you have now incarcerated so many people, right, particularly African American people, if you were to turn around and give them the right to vote, all of these masses of numbers of people that you have imprisoned over the years, well, the political scene would be 100% different than it is right now, because that's a lot of voting power. You see what I'm saying? So,
and they're going to vote against a lot of the laws that probably got them incarcerated in the first place.
That's my point.
A big one, of course, for me is marijuana.
Yes.
And I don't say that because I partake in it every day or something like that, but it's just nonsense to this point. There's been so many studies about marijuana and the effects of marijuana, the medicinal properties of marijuana, that it doesn't make sense to keep incarcerating people about marijuana. To me, at this point, it's about control. And they haven't figured out how to control the market and control the process, so they're going to incarcerate people until they get it figured out.
Yeah, here's my take on the whole cannabis industry, right? In the beginning, when cannabis was, a controlled substance and it was outlawed, nobody did more time, right? No arrest records were higher than within the African American community. If you had cannabis, you got locked up.
Yes.
Okay, now, flip the script. Now that it's legal in most states, right? Still not legal on a federal level yet, but now that it's legal in most states, in a lot of states, I should say, and now that it is a very, very lucrative industry, if you're African American, you're locked out. You can't get in the damn industry.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
They were selling.
First you were locked up, now you locked out.
They were selling licenses here in the state of Nevada for $12,000 a piece. $12,000 a piece. It didn't cost that much to start some franchises.
Right.
That was just the license.
Just the license.
Let alone if you were trying to do a cultivation plant or even go retail.
Yep.
If you went retail, oh my gosh, they still can't get bank accounts.
Isn't that crazy though?
They got money sitting in safe lockers, held in storage units because they can't get bank accounts.
Right.
It's a crazy system to me, man. But it goes back into like we were talking about with the prison industrial complex, man. The whole system is once again another system disenfranchising a group of people.
Yes.
And everybody wants to include, no offense, everybody wants to include, our brown brothers and sisters, but it really started with us.
Yeah.
And it really comes down to us because we were here, we were in hand and foot with them in building this country.
Yes.
And here we are the ones that getting disenfranchised the most. But even still, our brown brothers and sisters still go through a lot as well.
I agree.
I mean, we just had the Cuban, what do you want to call it? They were marching about the Cuban rights, and being able to get those people free and get them out of the situation they're in. Yeah. And I don't get me started on that.
Well, we start getting into the Cuban history, man, and the revolution, and the people who, the people who benefited from the Cuban Revolution and those who felt disfranchised and fled Cuba, bro. We'll be getting into something totally different, man, because it's not what everybody thinks, man. If you look at
well, let me just say this. Let me say this, because we talked about the Black Lives Matter movement, right? And we talked about, yes, this is what people do when they're upset. They riot, they march. When they have no other choice, this is what they do. But we got criminalized for it, right?
Yes.
When they were marching on the freeway, they arrested a good amount of those people. People lost their jobs, all kinds of stuff, because they were seen on the news, standing on the freeway, marching, whatever else. They did that in Florida with the Cuban march, right? Yeah. And they got on the freeway. None of those people got arrested. And as a matter of fact, there were political officials marching with them. Yeah. And it was like, okay, so what's the difference? Yeah. There's clearly a difference.
I agree. I agree. No, you got a whole point, bro. You know what I'm saying? And again, it comes down to the degree of your melanation. That's really what it comes down to. At the end of the day, man, they can say what they want, bro. People can say what they want, but at the end of the day, bro, if you study, if you came here from another planet, all right, and you studied American history, it would be clear to you, right? It would be clear to you, how laws are made, who the laws are created for to protect and maintain power, right, and what have you, and the people who are 100% constantly disenfranchised from day one, bro. Regardless of, I know people say, well, that was slavery. We're not slavery no more. This. It's never changed, bro. The only thing that has changed are the methods, right, and the language around it. But at the end of the day, the goals are still the same, right? I heard one senator or maybe it was one of the generals who said the people who were marching on January 6th, he said these are the same people we were fighting in World War II. Nazis, bro. Wow. And to put it that plain and in that perspective, bro, it just blows you away, right? Yeah. So at the end of the day, y'all say the hate mail. I mean, you can give us your comments and stuff like that, but understand the premise of a puff a minute, guys. All right, understand that when we sit down and we light a cigar, right, and we pair it with something, a little Irish coffee because it's early in the morning for me this morning. But when we sit down and we pair, we just have a conversation, right? We celebrate the conversations that take place when you're smoking a cigar. Now, sometimes those conversations are light and easy, right? Sometimes those conversations get a little bit deeper, like today. But I love it all, right? Because at the end of the day, you don't have to agree with us. You don't have to, you may agree, you may disagree, but you should open up your mind so that you can receive perspective regardless of where it comes from. I sat down and interviewed somebody last week from a Civil War cigar company, bruh. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like seriously, bruh, celebrating the Southern generals and all of that type of stuff. That's open-minded if nothing else.
They sat there with a straight face. I got a Confederate general on this cigar.
Confederate general, such and such.
With a Confederate flag on the box.
He gave me the cigar, and I'm sitting there like, I appreciate that. Now, I can't in good conscience smoke this, but at the same token, I'll find somebody who will, right? So at the end of the day, man, I love it. It is what it is, bro. I appreciate you, man, because again, you and I can have these conversations, man, and the camera on, camera off, but at the same time, like they say, iron sharpens iron, bro. Yeah, you feel me? So
definitely. I learn a lot from you, man. You be up on your history, man. That dude from Jersey, they be like, man, he don't know nothing.
You know what I'm saying? So, man, with that, brother, I feel like we can go ahead and shut this one down, man. This is, welcome back to the weekly series. Yeah. It's a good one. Make sure that you go back and follow and view all of the episodes from PCA 2021. Don't forget, man, we're on podcasts, we're on Apple Music. I'm stealing your thunder right now. Bro, you know what I'm saying? But we're on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcast. We're on like 7 different platforms. So whatever platform is your flavor, if you're just looking for the audio format, just go to that podcast, search for a Puff a Minute Cigars and Conversation, and you should be able to follow us there. Also, don't forget about the YouTube. Don't forget about the IGTV. You know what I'm saying? Facebook, the whole 9, man. Yeah. So again, man, just we appreciate your support, man. Give us some feedback, man. Give us some topics that you'd like to hear us talk about. And, so with that, man, I'm going to go back.
Hey, the only thing I want to say, you said it all, man, but I'm going to say one other thing. Everybody that we met at PCA, please reach back out to us. We want to get you tagged. We want to get you posted on a Puff a Minute. Yeah. And stay connected with us. We smoking your smokes on our show. We might have to name this the morning wake up or something, man.
I like that. Yeah, I like that.
But definitely reach out to us, man. We enjoyed PCA 2021. It's more events coming the rest of this year. A Puff a Minute's gonna be in the building. Yeah. Make sure to hook up with Cigar Mix, Cigar Baker, because we're gonna be there. Man, we appreciate y'all. I think that's it, man.
That's good, man. Hey, on the Behekio, y'all, from Cigar Mix, this makes a very good breakfast cigar. All right, I'm just gonna break it down to y'all like that, man. It's kind of mild for my palate, you know what I'm saying? So it makes a very good breakfast cigar. It's not overwhelming. It's pleasant, and that's me. You go smoke it. Tell me what you think, right? Tell me, how my assessment stacks up against yours, all right? And we'll go from there. Until next time, y'all. Next week in the Backyard Studio, we remain the Puff a Minute boys, you know what I'm saying? Cigars and Conversation. I'm your man, Cigar Mix.
Cigar Baker.
We out of here, y'all. Peace. We love you, and we'll talk to you next week.
Peace.